Good morning. My name is Dr. Hernando Carter, member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated and a member of the steering committee. This morning, it gives me great honor to introduce our moderator for this session. Our moderator is Major General Hawthorne Pete Proctor. General Proctor retired from the Army after over 34 years of service in 2004. After completing his studies at North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University in 1968 as a distinguished military graduate, he entered the Army in 1969 as a second lieutenant. He rose through the rank and was promoted to brigadier general in 1996 and assumed the duty as the Director, Plans and Operations, Office of the Deputy Chief of Staff for Logistics. Subsequently, he was selected for command of the Defense Personnel Support Center and later the Defense Supply Center, Philadelphia. General Proctor was promoted to Major General in July 1998 and was assigned as the G3 Army Material Command in Alexandria, Virginia. In July 1999, he became the 46th Quartermaster General of the Army at the Quartermaster School, Fort Lee, Virginia. In July 2001, he was reassigned to Headquarters Defense Logistics Agency as the J3. He retired from that position in 2004. Throughout his military service, General Proctor received numerous honors and military awards. After retiring from the Army, General Proctor served as Chief Operating Officer of Innovative Logistics Techniques Incorporated, and in 2006, he became the managing partner of Proctor & Boone LLC, a business consulting firm. Additionally, he serves on the board of a Fortune 400 company, on several not-for-profit boards, and is chairman of the Military and Veteran Affairs Commission of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. Major General Proctor currently serves as the honorary colonel of the Quartermaster Corps. General Proctor, I yield the floor to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Carter, and good morning and welcome to all. It gives me great pleasure to moderate and to hear from First Lieutenant Caron Nazario regarding his recent unfortunate apprehension and exposure to police brutality in Windsor, Virginia in December 5th, 2020. Thank you, Lieutenant Nazario, for agreeing to participate in this very timely program regarding Black health. We're here at the 85th Grand Chapter meeting of the Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. So please share with us how long you've been a member of the fraternity, where did you pledge, and what were your interests that encouraged you to pursue fraternity life?
Well, I want to start off by saying thank you for having me today. It's an honor to be here. So I started, I graduated from Virginia State University. I initially crossed with the Alpha Phi chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, which is in the Eastern Province. And the things that drew me to Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated was that it wasn't just a social organization. Our fundamental purpose is achievement. We encourage and we seek out achievement in every field of human endeavor. We strongly believe in philanthropy. We inspire youth. We inspire people throughout the community. So it was those qualities that drew me to the fraternity. And this was long before I actually even entered, before I matriculated into Virginia State University.
All right, thank you very much. Now, you're a graduate of Virginia State, and by the way, I take it you did participate in the Reserve Officer Training Program. And with that in mind, can you tell us why you were traveling through the city of Windsor, Virginia on the night of December 5, 2020?
Yeah, so right now I'm currently active in the military. I serve as a medical officer, and on that day, I was in the midst of performing my duties, traveling from one destination to another, just simply passing through.
Understand. So in a recent 2021 National Public Radio broadcast, it says that investigations revealed that police officers have fatally shot at least 135 Black men and women across the country since 2015, with at least 75% of the officers identifying as white. In light of the death of George Floyd at the hands of Officer Chauvin, and of course the subsequent trial, what are your thoughts and experiences relative to the trial and policing in America?
So hearing that statistic, it makes me even more grateful that I am even able to be here with you today to even speak with you, because one move different, I could have easily been another tally in that number. I could have easily been shot and killed like many of those other individuals that were shot and killed.
Understand. And prior to this situation, had anyone in your family or any close friends experienced anything such as police brutality?
So Eric Garner is a relative of mine. Um, Granted, the circumstances of the situation were different, but it still falls under police brutality.
Well, since this incident, please share what you've learned and what you now appreciate and how you have matured relative to your personal resilience as a young professional and Black person.
So the learning process is still ongoing. Is There are still lessons that I am learning from this situation, that I'm uh, things that I'm still going through. So I believe that it's an ongoing learning process. So there's not one thing in particular that I could say stands out more over all of the other things, but I can say that this is a continuing learning process for me right now.
Can you state if there has been any impact? Because I commend you for having not only a military career in the Army National Guard, but also you are a independent entrepreneur, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. So um, the situation has had impacts on all fronts, and not to just me, but to my my family, uh, anyone in my immediate circle. So it has had great impacts, um, more impacts than what I can list on this platform right now. But it has had some great impacts, long lasting impacts.
Understand. In the United States, excessive use of force by police officers is one of the main causes of mortality among Black men. However, the nation's acknowledged history of institutional racism has been a leading factor and driver of health problems, resulting in shortened lifespans, specifically for African Americans and people of color. So as a young, informed U.S. Army lieutenant in the Medical Service Corps, what advice would you have for African Americans, particularly young men, relative to their holistic well-being and mental health?
So that word holistic health is very important, and despite those determinants and those factors of police brutality shortening the lifespan of Black and African American men and women, it's still a holistic approach. And with dealing with mental health and physical health, it's not just a one-sided thing. It's all of those things together. So I would say that it is very important um, for individuals to make sure that they're observant of all of the aspects of their health, um, and being cognizant of all of those different aspects of their health will help to improve um, their lifespan.
Have you had the opportunity to speak to other groups about your endeavor and the fact that you were stopped? And if I'm not mistaken, one of the police had been in the Army, if I'm not mistaken.
So no, I haven't really spoken out about the matter much. I'm still getting to a place where I'm trying to be comfortable talking about the matter. It is still something that bothers me a lot on a daily basis. So I haven't spoken out too much about it. I have spoken with youth groups because that is a part of what we do as Kappa men. I've spoken to youth groups. And I do provide mentorship, but I have not spoken directly about this matter with the London Police.
I understand. And so many people noted how remarkably calm yet resolute and composure that you had during the incident involving the police. How were you able to maintain a responsible presence of mind, of clarity, as well as of your actions?
Yeah, that is a question that a lot of people ask, and really, my composure in that situation and my ability to communicate in that situation was from my fear of being killed. I was afraid to do anything different than what I had did that night. I was afraid to do anything that would have uh, triggered uh, the situation to go even further than it had gone. And at some points, it was hard to. Um, yeah, at some point, I had to kind of come to terms with I may not leave alive that night, and I was just afraid to give them any reason to take it a step further.
So would you say, did your military training at all assist you as you went through this circumstance and the emotional intelligence that it required for you to remain calm in the face of danger?
It it may have contributed to it. It may not have contributed to it. Reflecting on that night and putting myself back in that place, I just know that I was too afraid to do anything that would have uh, resulted in anything different.
Understand. That plays into my next question, and that relates to many young African Americans, particularly men, have not been informed of how to process and talk about their emotional experiences, thus resulting in a further compressed sense of isolation, anger, and resentment. For these people and men, this creates an emotional volatility that can sometimes be manifested by, quote, shutting down, unquote, in relationship and friendships. What advice would you offer those out there who feel shut down because they don't have a support system?
So it kind of goes back to one of the other questions that you asked, and it comes down to a holistic approach. Um, Being able to identify changes within yourself, knowing yourself, um, that is very important in being able to seek help because sometimes we aren't able to identify things that we're going through or identify that those things are issues. So, being cognizant of our well being and that something is different or something may seem off or cognizant of the differences in relationships can allow you to seek help or identify that you need to seek help.
We've seen that there have been many revelations of racial bias in the military. So what drove you to pursue a career in the military as a combat medic?
So, as a combat medic, our number one task is to preserve the fighting force, to preserve life, whether that's enemy or U.S. military. Our job is to preserve life. Uh, I'm I'm a person that I've always been into health. I've always been into serving for others. So just not just in the military, but as a country as a whole, I believe that we all would like to believe that we are much further, uh, that we've made more progress with race relations than we actually have. And it's kind of sad to see the things that were going on in the early 1900s and the mid 1900s. Some of those things going on with veterans during that time, some of those things still going on now in today's time. And even with police brutality during those time periods, we're still seeing similar events going on in today's time.
Having had the experience of being in the military, one of the things that we were always taught if we're driving through the South, particularly, to be sure to have a uniform hanging in the back window of your car so people would know that you were in service. You were in uniform and yet you still were accosted. And I believe one of the officers asked you if you were a sergeant or a private, even though you had your uniform on. And I realized you had a battle dress uniform on, or the Army combat uniform, if you will.
Yeah.
Just surprised that the assumption was that you were wrong without apparent action on your part. So remaining calm under pressure is key. And I guess that's one of the things you were saying to others, understanding the circumstances and try to avoid becoming a fatal casualty in those kinds of circumstances.
Yes.
Is there anything you wish to share that we may not have covered?
Um, well, on the note of the December 5th Windsor situation, um, there has been a lot of support from everyone, from brothers in the fraternity, people in the military, of all branches, individuals around the world. So I would like to say thank you. Thank you for having me today. Thank you to everyone for their support. Yeah.
I understand. We do have a question from the chat room, and it says, how has this incident impacted your family and loved ones?
It's put a lot of stress on them as well. They're concerned about my safety. Um, they've been harassed as well. They've been, having to deal with things and process it. So it's strenuous on their mental health as well.
I understand. So there's one other question that says, do you believe that mental health is vital to our African-American men and living with their best lives in dealing with our society today? So again, your thoughts.
Yes, mental health is very critical um, to our overall health. There are direct correlations between your mental health and, your physical health. Um, if one is off, it can create an imbalance.
Okay. One other question is, how has this incident impacted how you now view the police?
So I I still feel like we need police in our society. We still need police to do a job. They're supposed to be here to protect and serve. And I feel like we still need individuals, proper individuals in the police department to protect and serve.
One question came up about what your plans are when you leave the service. And I just wanted to make it clear that you're a member of the Army National Guard and that you are serving both in the military, but also you have your own profession. So would you like care to talk about your profession as you go through life today?
So right now, I don't have a full picture of what I plan to do when I get out of the military. I actually enjoy my career in the military. When I joined, it was for the purpose of serving this country, and I'm I'm just here at 8 years now. Um, I have a commitment until my 10th year, and for a lot of people, that's the halfway mark. So I could do another 10 years and get out at 20, or I could decide to uh, make other plans. But at this time, I'm still trying to decide that.
Okay. Another question is, have other media outlets come to you to talk to you about your story?
Yes, yeah.
And one other question dealt with what type of uh, restitution would you seek, or are you able to talk about what your case regarding this incident entails?
Right now, the case is still developing, uh, but for as far as restitutions, that's not something that I would really feel comfortable discussing right now. But for updates, if anyone's interested in continuing to follow the case, um, they can follow my legal team, Tom Roberts and Associates, and they provide updates on their website as they come.
Right. So there are people in the audience who want to thank you for your service, and I'll be sure to do that before we're completed here. Can you talk about recommendations that you have for young Black males on how to protect their mental health?
Yeah, so that holistic approach is very important. So physical activity, stress relieving activities, decompression. So being able to talk in groups, being able to have individuals or even professionals that they can talk to, having those positive outlets. Uh, a lot of people they they don't always use the correct outlets when dealing with mental health, so it progresses into bigger issues or it complicates it even further. So having those positive outlets uh, can really be helpful for young individuals.
Someone has asked if you could talk about trauma informed care.
Yeah, so trauma informed care, and I'm not the subject matter expert on it, but trauma informed care is being able to provide uh, care for someone from a trauma perspective. So it's understanding those traumas that an individual has have gone through and being able to provide assistance to them based on those traumas. So it is kind of what the word is, trauma informed care.
Uh, Again, First Lieutenant Nazario, I'm sure this has not been easy for you to relive this traumatic experience. Let me commend and thank you on behalf of our brothers of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, those who are listening in, for sharing the experience of police brutality that took place last year. So may you continue to excel in your military and your civilian careers. And I wish you Godspeed and many blessings. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be with us today and inform us on how we can perhaps face adversity and come out better than we were when we experienced such trauma that you went through. So again, I salute you and I thank you very much for your service and for all you're doing for the fraternity, your community, and for the nation at large.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. And I appreciate everyone else.
Thank you very much. This concludes our program for now.